Set it off. That lunchtime special. Coming to make it do what it do. Make the most of it. You already know. Blessings be on you and yours, and that you find that peace so that love may go about residing in your heart. See, from the start, if we would only took our times, we would have seen the direction that we going in. It's going to leave us. But because we don't know better, we got to go down that road. Many of us go about wondering, how did I get to where I'm at in life? Why is it that my faith has gone about bringing me here? Your faith has brought you to this place because you didn't know what the hell you was doing. And since you didn't know what the hell you was doing, you need understanding. And the only way to go about getting that understanding is you're going to have to go through this lesson. Let it be that this lesson is unwarranted, not welcome, downright draining. Be okay and know that once you make it out of this, you're going to be all right. So don't give in. Hold on. Because what life is trying to do with you right now is trying to build you up. I'm not with all this foolishness in regards to making a whole bunch of goofy, giddy ass videos that's gonna make you wanna just not sit down and think, because too many of us is not going about reflecting. We're not going about thinking about our lives and how we could go about doing things better. So the reason I go about on a constant basis of making videos which brings upliftment is because there's a better way of doing things. But the only way we get to that better way of doing things is when we go about changing the way we go about living. That change has to start from within. That change can't come from outside. We need to get that idea out of our head. We need to stop waiting on everybody to fix our problems, because when we take it upon ourselves to go about doing the work, then things is going to go about getting done. But we have become complacent. It leaves me saddened and divided that the political democratic system have had us so segregated and in the way how we go about viewing another human being. One of the punchlines of this 2024 election is illegal aliens. Now, all human beings are the same. Brody, Tim and Willie, okay, JR22. We using illegal immigration as a punchline, as if though these aren't people that have necessities and wants. They're just trying to go about surviving. But when we use illegal immigration as a punchline to go about having us target our fellow brothers on this earth, we have to wonder why. Because we are being led in a direction that is not healthy for us. The wars that's taking place, all our kids will ever come to know is war. And they will go about perpetuating a cycle, which goes about bringing more war. Why is it so hard for us to go about finding peace with our common brothers? Why is it that because we don't look alike, we can't have the respect and admiration and love for one another? You see, but we're waiting on this government. We're waiting on this institution. We're waiting on this savior. But why don't we take it upon ourselves and say, well, let me start putting in the work so that I could go about saving myself and creating that level of understanding that we need. Now, the reason I go on this twist is because many a times people will say that they come and they have known the truth. But if the truth is despairing and damaging, and you're still living foul, what truth do you know? You must question yourself in that. Why do I believe this to be true when the works of my hands are of worthlessness? You see. But when we come from a place that makes us rebel and we stop believing the con and the lies that they're being told, you have to ask yourself, why should I let this feeling go? Because when one comes to rebel, one goes about seeing the inconsistencies in which life and the way people are going about conducting themselves. So the system fights against rebelliousness. And those that go about rebelling are a threat to the system within itself. The system does not want you to go about thinking for yourself. The system does not want you to go about living as a free man. It does not want you to be a free thinker. It wants you to be a hamster on a wheel. But I'm here to tell you, there's a lot more to life than just going on this social paradigm. But unless we wake up, we will constantly just be that hamster on that wheel. And the hamster on the wheel brings no resolve because you will be living somebody else's lie. And the one thing about life, the only way you could go about getting ahead is when you stop giving a damn what everybody else got to say about you. Is when you start caring about how you feel versus how other people feel about you. You will not grow. And the only way growth begins is like what my daughter says. When we start making the uncomfortable comfortable, then we're going to start to grow. But until then, we're just playing this little cyclical game with ourselves and believing that we're going to get somewhere when we really ain't got nowhere to go. So just know, you have to make that choice. Nobody can make that choice for you. Are you going to be free, or are you just going to go about letting blind faith lead your way? You see, come to see and know that it's only when you start questioning your existence and how you're doing things, then you will go about growing. Because, like what I tell everybody, if you got some friends that ain't worth a damn, how far you think you gonna grow? If they ain't got no ambition, if they doing the same shit year in, year out, you think you gonna get anywhere in life? But unless you leave that behind, then you will start to grow. But too many of us find the uncertainty in life to be hard because the unknown, the unfamiliar, makes us wonder what's the outcome going to be. But that's what makes life so special. We never know. And that's why I need for you to live your life like this the last goddamn minute that you got. Live it to the fullest. Embrace it. Don't be reserving your actions. Take that leap of faith. Make it work for you. Go out and get it. Grab life by the damn horns and see what's going to happen. But stop being afraid because too many of us are driven and controlled by fear. You see, fear, that should keep your ass in place. Fear has you right where it wants you. It knows that you're not going to move. So life will never come to test you. Because why would life waste its time when it already know the outcome? And the one thing that people need to realize is that the more you're tested, the more life sees your worth. But if you're not being tested, you don't have worth. So look at yourself and come to see, why isn't life testing me? Why isn't life allowing me that opportunity for growth? Why is it that I'm sitting here and I'm not getting that headway in my life? I'm praying, but I'm not getting the answers that I want. I'm looking, but I'm not finding anything. You see, too many of us are blinded. We don't see what's happening. We don't see the traps being laid for us. The only thing we want to do is damn whine, complain, bicker, and get in our feelings as if though somebody owes us something. But let me be the first to tell you, don't nobody owe you a damn thing in this world. Nobody. So once you come to realize that nobody owes you nothing, then you're going to see that it's all about what you go about doing. The amount of uncertainties that we face is what you do to bounce back from every adverse situation that you're placed in. But people don't want to take that lesson and grow with it. Life is not based on how good you do and so forth. Life is about, what do you do when adversity comes to meet you? When shit just ain't going right, you putting your best foot forward, and it's as if though things just ain't working. What do you do? Do you give up? Do you cry? Do you just surrender to life? Or do you persevere and push on? Because too many times when life comes and everything that we're doing is not working, we are not comfortable enough to say, well, let me start applying and doing things from a different perspective. We want to keep doing the same old shit and expecting life to change for us. But life can't change for you because life is just trying to show you what you don't know. And what you don't know is the reason why you're in this predicament. Because if you knew better, your ass wouldn't be at this stage in your life. Now, would you? But because you didn't know, humble yourself. Humble yourself so that you could go about understanding and receiving that blessing in life. The quicker we humble ourselves, the quicker we come to peace with the truth and see what it is that we need to go about doing with the hustle and bustles of life. I must go about asking, how many of us just take a little moment for ourselves? Let it be we go to the beach, go to the park, and just listen to nature. Turn off the cell phones, close the laptops, and just listen to nature and see how harmony works at its purest form. And when we go about stilling ourselves, our being, we go about getting that insight, that truth that we're lacking. Because by sight, we see things in a certain manner. But when we go about slowing down, everything starts to make sense. But let me put this in there for you right quick. If you're walking in a river, if you go in that river stomping and stomping, you will go about murky in the water. And since you're murky in the water, you don't know if there's a sinkhole waiting for you. You can't see anything because it's all murky and mucky. But if you move gently and allow for the sediments to go about settling, you will see what's your next best step. So in using that illustration, too many times, a lot of us are in a haste. We're in a haste to do nothing. We're in a rush to go nowhere. Like what my brother said. We're running in place thinking that we're doing something. But the only thing that we're doing is fooling ourselves because we have come to convince ourselves what we're doing is on point. But when we come to realize the only thing we're doing is nothing, then our little egos get hurt. But that's okay. If that was the way we lived yesterday, be okay in knowing that today is a different day. And since today is a different day, what are we going to do? What direction will we go by taking? And the cue of it is when we see how precious life is, then we're going to stop wasting time. But along that, let me go about sharing the story with you. And in that, they had these dudes on a journey. And upon this journey, they stumbled upon a diamond. So these three dudes is like, man, all three of us found this diamond. So what is it that we go about doing with this diamond? One dude says, maybe it belongs to somebody. We should leave it where we found it. He wanted to do the right thing in life. He says, that might be a good idea. We should just leave this diamond where we found it because it does not belong to us. The second guy goes, he makes a comment and he says, well, maybe the diamond was left there just for us. So why don't we take advantage of it? They all thought to themselves and like, okay, that's a possibility. The third guy says, maybe we just need to throw the damn thing in the water. So the first two guys looked at him like, what? Are you crazy? He said, no, I'm not crazy. But can't you see what this diamond is going to go about doing to us? Just because we have difference of opinions and what we should do with it, it's already going about separating us. And before long, we will have become enemies. But they couldn't see the big picture. So they took the diamond. Now, they stumbled upon this town. And when they got to this town, the viewpoint was who's going to go about watching this diamond. And because of the level of trust that had been engulfed within these three friends, neither was willing to allow the other to go about watching this diamond. So they played rock, paper, scissors. And upon playing rock, paper, scissors to see who was going to watch this diamond, the third guy ended up winning rock, paper, scissors. But the first two were not willing to allow this guy to watch his diamond because of what he said earlier, and that maybe we just need to throw this thing away. So, as night went on, the first two guys devised a plan, and that we can't let this opportunity go down like this. We need to get this guy out of the way. So, they devised a plan that they were going to have this guy thrown in jail and come up with a lie. But the one thing about life, just as though you're thinking someone else is doing the same thing, they're going about formulating their own plan as well. So the third guy goes and he hides the diamond. So the first two guys, they go to the police and they tell them, hey, they fabricated a story in which to frame the third guy. So the third guy says, I have no reason to argue, so I'll go with the police. The first two guys couldn't understand, why is this guy giving in to something that he didn't do? So as time went on, the first two guys realized, hey, we have lost our friend and now we have lost the diamond. What is it that we go about doing? So they get irritated and begin to blame one another for what had transpired. But because of deceit and wickedness and greed had gone about filling their hearts, they had did the unthinkable. They had sent the innocent man to jail and were no better than when they started. So as time goes on, the third guy goes before the judge and he's like, what am I being charged for? Because I haven't done anything. So the judge asked the police, what is this guy being charged for? So he said his two friends said that he stole something. What did I steal? He said he stole a diamond. He said, okay, but if I stole a diamond, then why wasn't I arrested with the diamond? So the guy in his defense says, Your Honor, we did find a diamond. And as the first two were sleeping, I took the diamond and I went and put it back right where I found it. So what am I being charged for? The judge says, well, I can't charge you. You're free to go. So upon receiving that news, the first two were ashamed. But because greed was still in their heart, they scrambled back to that place where that diamond, where they first found it. But upon scrambling back, they discovered the diamond was not there. And they became more irate because what had happened. But as they go along, the third friend says, I cannot be you guys' friends anymore because I see that the way how we look at life differs. So the first two friends starts to weep and beg for forgiveness. And in begging for forgiveness, they said, we were fools to go about cherishing a stone over a friendship. But the guy, he gives in. He says, you know what? Everybody needs forgiveness. But the way to forgiveness is that from now on, anything that we find, we will give it to the less fortunate. The first two still couldn't understand. Why is this guy on just giving away everything that we find? Why isn't this guy on the concept that we need to go about looking after ourselves? So the third guy tells him, the reason we're capable and able to go about giving away everything that we find is because that's what we're to do. We are to go about helping each and everybody that we have ran across. But along the way, you two seem to have forgot this journey is just not about ourselves, but it's about helping and embracing the attitude that is created in a sense of love. We are to go about spreading joy and love to others Because the minute we start to practice greed, we become enslaved to greed. The minute we go about practicing jealousy, we are no longer living a fulfillment of life. We have become its slave, because for that rock, you guys were willing to kill, you guys were willing to lie, and so forth. But the reason I go about giving you that story, that parable in this essence is, yes, we will go about acquiring things in life. But as we go about acquiring things, what are you willing to do to go about defending the things that you have gone about acquiring? And why do you feel so strongly you would take it to that level? Everything that we have here is only a loan to us. It's to make life a little worthwhile living. But if we look at it as if though we are the only sole proprietors of what we have worked for and we're not willing to share, then we too have come about becoming its slave. And when we become its slave, then we can't wonder why we are left to the negative outcomes that we are faced with. So let it be. Let it be that your heart is at a place of peace. Let it be that whatever you have attained, whatever you have gone about working, struggling, grinding for, let it be that you see life as a journey in which to make things better for yourself and others. But don't let it be all about you, because life goes in a cycle. And in that cycle, if we do not come to visit and know the truth, the walk will become extraneous, and the way how we go about dealing on a daily basis will leave us at a disadvantage. I come to say this because if we look at society on a whole, one of the biggest products that is of consumers in the market today is sleeping pills. We are overworking ourselves. We are overdoing, and we are over-consuming because we believe we are to keep up with the social norms of this cycle of life that we're living. But the only thing that you need, you already have in your possession. Everything else is only extras. So don't be consumed with possessions to go about giving you validations, because I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. The emptiest barrel is the one that go about making the most noise. And don't become that empty barrel, because you will be filled with something, and that something, you don't have a choice in the matter. So to life, you must find substance to which resides within you. Don't fill yourself with worthlessness. Don't fill yourself with acquiring things to make yourself seem more important than you think you are. If we would just look at life as life had it intended for it to be looked upon, we would ingratiate and incorporate that beauty within ourselves. We would come to realize that the things we are fighting for, we're just going to end up giving it away. So why not redirect your time? Everything you're fighting, clawing, and trying to grab for, it's for somebody else. Because once you have acquired so much money, there's only so much you can spend. Once you have bought so many clothes, there's only so much you could wear. Once you've bought so many shoes, there's only so many outfits those shoes could go with. So why hold on to this ideology that you have to get this and have to get that? It's a misconception of the mind. It's wanting to be something that we're not. And we weren't born to be that. We were created for a purpose. We all have a job to do. Despite what you might be going through, your life, Miles, exactly, you are very right. All right, thanks, Devin. Your life is for a purpose, but too many of us have gotten away from finding meaning in the little things. That's what equates, that's what goes about bringing beauty. It saddens me because the society in which we go about living, it has become something of a microwave society. Nobody wants to go about taking their time and doing things the right way. We're all looking for these shortcuts. But like what I said, you are right where you are. You're right where you are because of the lack of knowledge that you have. If you knew better, you would do better. Excuses does not go about quantifying or rationalizing your failures. The one thing that we must come to realize is that the minute we don't let excuses become our friend, the better off we're going to be. When we allow accountability to be our guiding stone, then we will go about watching what it is that we're doing. So, just as life is investing in you, it's time that you go about investing in yourself. Everything is meant for you to go about succeeding. Everything is put in place for you to go about winning. I don't care what community you came from, what your family structure was. If you look closely enough, you will see the The reason you grew up the way you grew up was to incorporate a certain mindset. The school you went to was to teach you different ways of looking at life. The friends you have is to teach you not everybody in your circle is worth a damn. Everything that, even that worthless friend that you had, that backstabbing, that loyal friend, was to teach you that there's still good people in the world. There's some people that are advantages. There's some people that will go about trying to take more than is allotted. But if we go about seeing, if we go about looking, if we go about coming to understand the basics of the plan, it's only that life is asking me for me to humble myself. Like what Kendrick Lamar said, sit down, be humble. And in being humble, we have to quit talking so much. Start listening. Because a lot of us are receiving instructions, but we are not listening. We're not understanding the language in which that information is coming. And because we don't understand, we keep making the same mistakes. And in making the same mistakes, it starts to hurt after a while. We could excuse ignorance because you don't know. But a perpetual cycle is a regard that you just don't give a damn. And because you don't give a damn, life tempo is going to turn up. So find it in yourself that what you do from here on out, it's to go about looking and seeing from a place of purity, because that will be the only way that growth will go about taking place in your life. Don't do it because of your mom, your dad. No, do it for you. And when you go about finding that truth, then, oh damn, I gotta get that water in, man. But when you go about finding that truth, then it will be a blessing unto you. So the thing that is most precious is the love that we hold. And people don't realize that. Do you keep that love to yourself, or do you share that love with the world? And once we go about coming to realize that we're going to share that love, then it becomes a beautiful thing, because like-minded people will start to go about gravitating to you. And if you have like-minded people that's gravitating towards you, it's an embodiment of growth. Because if you have a set of people who embrace and go about promoting growth, despite what you're going through, and your friends go about addressing you, let it be right, wrong, if you go about valuing what they say, you will look within yourself and make that change. You will have let go of your ego. You will have let go of your pride, because you will have known the reason this person is addressing me in this manner. It's because of the way I'm conducting myself. And since I'm not conducting myself in a proper manner, I need to go about looking at how I'm doing things. And that's when you know you got a real friend. But if your friends got a tippy toe, watch what they say, can't approach you, then I'm here to tell you, them ain't your friends. And you are not that person's friend. Because if anybody who is in my circle can't come tell me that, man, you doing this from a position that is not appropriate, and here is why. If I can't respect how that person's viewpoint is, then I'm more full of crap than I've come to realize. And sometimes we need to go about checking ourselves at the door, because we see things from one perspective, but in reality, sometimes our viewpoints are skewed because of our ambition or whatever the case may be. So let it be that when you come to go about setting that placement, that tempo, surround yourself with people that are uplifting. Surround yourself with people who are not distracted by worthlessness. And surround yourself with people who feel that despite what I say, despite me telling this person the wrong that they are doing, it's for the betterment of that person. And that will help us in going about finding out our truth. Because the truth, like what I said, it's only to give you understanding. Because if you're at a place, and that place, it's not going about bringing growth, being helpful, then what you're doing is just wasting your time. And life is not to be wasted. So make use of this time, man. Make use of this time. I'm not here to waste your time. I'm not here to make no silly ass videos. I'm not here to try to amuse you. I'm just here to try to uplift the consciousness. That's what I'm trying to do. That's what I'm trying to promote. Because the social norms is promoting these young females showing their bodies, promoting a promiscuous lifestyle. Nah, I can't stand by. I just can't allow that to take place. We gotta start uplifting ourselves. And by uplifting ourselves, we have to conduct ourselves in a certain manner. We gotta start having self-respect, promoting self-love, start demanding better of ourselves, and stop making excuses and thinking that the excuses are valid. If we can start doing these things, we will take that evolution that we need to go about taking in life. But we have to start with ourselves. We cannot continuously go about waiting for other people to go about fixing our problems. Because, like I tell everybody, at the end of the day, when you go to bed, ain't nobody in your head but you. You might be having all these random thoughts, but it's only you in your head. And you can't escape your reality. So if you would just come to realize and do the things that you have to go about doing for yourself, then it will be a good thing. It's not about waiting on the right time, because nobody truly knows when that right time is. The only advice that I could go about giving you is that you start. Let it be sooner rather than later, because tomorrow has its own problems waiting on you. And one thing about life, it's a compilations of issues that are not resolved. Just because you don't deal with your issues today, that does not mean they go away. That's not how it works. You gotta deal with your issues. You gotta look these demons in the eyes and say, nah, you can't have power over me no more. You gotta jump on that bull, ride that little thing, and see what happens. Stop being afraid. And then when you stop being afraid, then it will give you the answer that you need. So along that, with this little lunch special, it's just more fuel, food to fill the soul, uplift the consciousness, and start promoting that betterness that we need. Any topics you would like for me to touch on, go ahead and throw it in the suggestion comments. You dig? So that we could go about embracing that upliftment, so that we could go about getting to that next stage that we need to get to in our lives. Too many times, we are holding back ourselves because we believe it's the place that we came from. We believe because we came from a toxic household. We believe because life ain't never gave us no opportunities, so that's why I'm never gonna be nothing. Life is waiting on you to go about taking that opportunity. It's waiting on you to step up and ask, are you willing to be great? Do you see your greatness that you were born with? And when you start to accept your greatness, your ability, don't try to be the next Michael Jordan. Don't try to be the next LeBron James. Don't try to be Serena Williams. Be who you were intended to be. As great as they were, you're just as great. And when you go about accepting your greatness, that's when that joy kicks in. So I love it that I get to vibe with y'all on just a free flow format. And anything that you would want me to touch on, put it in the comment. I'm going to try to do these lives on a continuous basis at 12. So hopefully your schedule and my schedule permits us to go about interacting and engaging and just a continuous promotion of uplifting the mind, looking for better ways to go about doing things. Because the only way we can go about making that upliftment is when we start to look, is when we start to look at ourselves. And the minute we start looking at ourselves, then we know that there's things that we got to go about doing. So it's a blessing. I love it. Put a little thumbs up in the thing. And so we can get this thing flowing, get this little promotion going. And I'm thinking about holding a contest in that there might be some money involved to go about promoting the upliftment of self. So if you know anybody who could use a little bit of money, use a little change, I would want to do this little promotion to go about engaging the audience and having them get the monetary gain as well as the personal gain out of it. So, at any time, shoot me a message on a tube so that if you feel strongly about something and that you would want me to go about touching on it, addressing it, looking at it, let's put it out there so that we could go about creating that upliftment that we need. I don't need for nobody to feel embarrassed. I don't need for nobody to feel as if though they're going to be singled out. If you would like to be named, if you would like to be left anonymous, then that's cool. I can respect that because we're all at different places in our journey and so forth. So it's more along the line of let's create things that, okay, being humble, hey, I listened to what you were saying, but maybe you should have put this in there. And I'll expand upon it and then go from there. Because it's more about growth. That's what we're looking for. Growth, growth, growth. Now that's my blessing. I just want to say thank y'all. And I number love. 1.